So thrilled to be back, and we have joining us on Skype the founding executive director of the Jewish Los Angeles Special Needs Trust, Michelle Wolf. Welcome to Autism Live. Thrilled
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
We were just talking about how we're all managing to stay dry and not so much here in Los Angeles. But Michelle, this is a mouthful. The Jewish Los Angeles Special Needs Trust, right? That takes a minute to say. Tell us what that is, and you're the founding executive director. Tell us about how long you've been around.
So we're a brand new organization, about 2.5 years old. And what we are is really something called a pooled special needs trust. And these are nonprofits that specialize in helping people with disabilities of all sorts, including, of course, autism, obtain, have an ability to have supplemental money above and beyond their government benefits. So this is a legal way to keep all your SSI, your Medicaid, in-home supportive services, food stamps, Section 8, to keep all those benefits and have additional supplementary funds. So it's a great service, and we actually provide professional trustee services at a fraction of the cost of commercial banks or trusts.
Okay, so how did this come about? How was this inspired?
It was inspired by a group of professionals and parents when I was doing a consulting job at Bet Tzedek Legal Services. Bet Tzedek means House of Justice in Hebrew, and it's a legal aid type of a group. And I was tasked with bringing together the aging community and the intellectual and developmental disabilities community, bringing them together in a pilot project, because we have older people that are aging and getting disabilities, and then we have many younger adults with autism, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, Down syndrome, and they're living longer and longer lives, and so they're actually getting eligible for aging programs. So it was a really cool project that brought together these two worlds, and we looked at a variety of issues and subjects. And one of the main topics is that we have all these aging caregivers out there, mostly moms in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they are still taking care of their loved one with autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, mental health issues at home, typically by themselves without much assistance. And how can we make sure that that adult child is going to receive support and care after that mother passes?
Yeah, this is everybody's biggest fear, right?
Yes.
What happens when I'm not there? Excuse me. So talk to us a little bit about who your ideal client is, because it is, if somebody has, let's say, a 5-year-old, is it time for them to come in and do this, or is there a time that's perfect?
So for a 5-year-old, I would say you don't need to set up a special needs trust quite yet, but I would certainly encourage those families to look into the new CalAble account that just became available 2 weeks ago in California, and it's a tax-free way of setting aside up to $15,000 a year, and you can go all the way to $100,000 without impacting your SSI.
Because just to make it, because a lot of people don't even understand that, and I know sometimes my adult brain doesn't get it. If you go, I see this every day that I talk to parents of individuals who have some form of special need, it could be autism or other things, and that at some point they filed for and got Social Security benefits because their child is disabled, and that is money that helps support that child right now. And people are terrified of losing that. If their child gets a job, or if it's shown that they have other source of income, often that money is suspended and it's gone. So people get in this little box where they feel like, I can't do this, I can't go here, I can't do this thing even though it's good for my child, because if they get more money, I will lose that. And then what happens when I'm gone? They don't have that SSI. So you're saying you can put money aside for them, and later on, when you're not there and they inherit this money, they won't get their SSI taken away?
Well, you don't want them to inherit it directly. That's the big no-no.
Okay.
So if you set up, first of all, both Medi-Cal and SSI, Medicaid nationally, you're limited to only $2,000 in terms of assets, meaning money in your bank account.
Right.
So in order to have more than $2,000 in assets, you now have two choices. You can set up the CalAble account that I mentioned. The other states have their own ABLE program. Or you can set up a special needs trust. And as the child gets older, experts actually recommend that you have both.
Okay.
The CalAble for in and out, like a checking account, and your special needs trust for your long-term planning. Because the special needs trust has a fiduciary oversight. Our nonprofit acts as a fiduciary, and we actually have a licensed fiduciary on our staff who is our delegated trustee. The funds in the CalAble account, if the beneficiary is not conserved or under guardianship, that person over the age of 18 could just take the funds and do whatever they wish with. So in terms of employment, the myth that you can't work and keep your SSI, that is gone. So if people want to work, and I think it's great, any type of work, they can put their earnings into these new ABLE accounts, and it will not impact their SSI up to $100,000.
This is so exciting, Michelle.
It's huge. It's huge. We're doing a big event here in Los Angeles. I'm going to put in a little plug. February 4th, 7 p.m. at 6505 Wilshire. And please sign up on Eventbrite.
Let's not do a little plug. Let's do a big plug. Say it again. What's the date?
It's February 4th,
Okay.
7 p.m. at 6505 Wilshire Boulevard.
And you're going to be talking about the ABLE accounts then?
Yes, and we're bringing in an expert from Sacramento from the California Treasurer's Office.
Okay. Well, that sounds interesting. What day of the week is that?
It's a Monday night.
Okay. I might have to come to that, Michelle.
Please come. And, if you want to RSVP, it's info, I-N-F-O, at jlatrust.org.
But it's on Eventbrite.
So the way it works is you create these CalAble accounts, and at some point you'll want to transfer some of those funds into a special needs trust. With the special needs trust, and I hope many families will want to use our pool trust, but there's other pool trusts in the state, but not Los Angeles. And you can also do a standalone special needs trust.
Well, what is a pool trust?
A trustee.
What is a pool trust?
So a pool trust is really an affordable way for more middle-class families to have professional trustee services at a fraction of the cost.
I see.
And what it is everybody has a separate sub-account. We only pool the money for investment purposes. So we have 3 portfolios with Charles Schwab, and everybody picks a portfolio. And so basically what happens, it's like Betty's $20,000 and David's $50,000 and Susan's $100,000. That's put together just in the portfolio. So we can hopefully get higher rates of dividends and interest.
Wonderful. Okay, now I get it. This is wonderful. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what this has been able to do for the community. Let's talk about some of the success stories, because previous to this, if you wanted to start, we've had people on the show before talking about an individual trust, but most of the time parents say to me, I don't have that kind of money.
Right.
Yeah.
So our minimum is $20,000 if you want to active a special needs trust. You can open an inactive one with just $200, but you won't have access to those funds until it gets to $20,000. So I have 2 success stories. Well, actually, I have more than 2, but I was going to share 2.
Yes.
So one was a gentleman in his 60s who had high-functioning autism and some mental health issues. He was living, believe it or not, in 88 square feet. He had literally one room in Santa Monica with the bathroom down the hall. And Santa Monica, as everyone knows, is a very hot real estate market. So the owner of this property was going to tear down this building and put up high-end condos. So as part of state law, this gentleman got a lump sum move out, something to encourage him to move out and also to be in accordance with the law. So he got $40,000, and he put it right into his special needs trust. And he was also able to get a new Section 8 apartment, a one-bedroom. And for the first time in his life, he has his own kitchen. And our staff helped him literally figure out what to go into Target and buy to set up his kitchen, what kind of furniture he would need. And he is doing so well. He's taking adult computer classes at the senior center. He's actually on a Santa Monica homeless commission. And he recently used some of his trust funds to buy himself a sports coat because he went to a reception at the mayor's home. He is doing great. And we have another client who is legally blind, who lives in the Santa Barbara area, who basically has been homeless and living in hotels because she could not find affordable housing in Santa Monica. And with our assistance and the help of Jewish Family Service, we were able to get her into a Section 8 apartment, and she is now living in a beautiful one-bedroom and only paying $263 a month.
Wow.
So our trust acts as the care coordinator. We don't do case management, but what we can do is use the beneficiary's funds to pay for private case management, and then we become the central hub. And what I like to tell mothers is no one can replace you. After you're no longer able to take care of your adult child, there's not one person who's going to replace you. It's going to take a whole team.
Yeah.
So we provide the trustee services. We work with regional center service coordinators. We'll work with group home directors. And quite often, we'll end up hiring a private case manager. And together, this team develops a care plan and a strategy. And then our role is providing the funding out of the person's individual trust fund, whether it's paying rent, paying for a cell phone, paying for computer classes, whatever it takes for a higher quality of life. And that's what our mission statement is all about. We're about helping children and adults with disabilities achieve a higher quality of life by being able to supplement their governmental benefits. Because if you try to live just on your government benefits, you're going to be living a terrible life of poverty. Government benefits barely take you up to the federal poverty level. And in Southern California, it really is a subsistence existence.
Okay, Michelle, I have a bunch of questions, and most of them are going to be ignorant, okay? So I'm going to apologize in advance. So we start an account, and, if we want to be an active account, we start with a minimum of $20,000, which goes into the pool, and you guys invest it. How does it work? At what point does the person then access it? Is it when the person that was their main caregiver is no longer capable of doing that at any age?
So that is totally individualized and up to the family.
Okay.
But what we say to people is when the account reaches $20,000, that's when we can begin to disperse funds.
Okay.
And that's when we can also assist with the care coordination. Up till then, the money is just accumulating.
Okay.
We recommend that families do not wait until, God forbid, mom's in a nursing home with dementia or, passed away.
Right.
We recommend that families see how it works and start using the funds. Well, I would say, the mother's or parent or adult sibling, feels like they want someone else to help them out. And let me just say a word about adult siblings. A lot of parents have kind of counted on the adult sibling to take over after a parent passes or becomes disabled themselves. And a lot of adult siblings, they really love their siblings, but they don't want to take on the full responsibility. So we have a role for the siblings. We call it the beneficiary advocate. So they stay in touch with us. They have a liaison function. We can include them in all the emails and all the correspondence, but they don't have the legal obligations that come with being a trustee, the taxes, understanding the government benefits. And the toughest role with a trustee has to exercise discretion about the funds. So occasionally a trustee has to say no if it's a bad financial request.
Yeah.
So, for example, if someone has $100,000 in their special needs trust and they want to purchase a car, and they say, "I want to take $80,000 and buy a high-end sports car," we're probably going to say no. You can buy a car, but it's going to be more like a Camry or a Honda.
Right.
Right? Because as trustee, we have a fiduciary obligation to keep the funds going throughout the lifetime of the beneficiary.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're doing the coordination too of making sure that can happen, because they're not going to live just on the trust, but they're not going to live just on their government funded support. Amazing. Like, all of this is very eye-opening to me. If parents are watching and they've got other questions than I have, where do they get information, Michelle?
Well, please go to our website, www.jlatrust.org, and our office phone number is 310-773-9728, and I'm at extension 2. We're a very small, friendly office, and I'd love to talk to you and make an appointment for you to come in.
Okay. We're having some trouble with our lower thirds there for a second, so I'm going to have you repeat all that, because for a second it said that you were Nate Lewis, and you are clearly not Nate Lewis.
Yeah, I saw that. That was, an interesting identity.
It's like, Nate, who's Nate? Nate's great, but he's not you. So let's have you say again how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. So they should call 310-773-9728, extension 2, or they can certainly go to our website and fill out our contact us form, and that's JLATrust, one word, .org.
Okay. So I'm sure people are already writing in and saying, it makes sense that they would ask this, do we need to be Jewish to participate?
A great question. So, no, you don't have to be Jewish to enjoy JLA Trust. But just like Hebrew National, we answer to a higher authority. So what it is my roots are in the Jewish community. I write a column about Jews and special needs for the Jewish Journal, and a lot of our funding comes from the Jewish community. But we are absolutely open to all faiths, backgrounds, gender identities. Like I said, we're very open. I myself am the parent of a 24-year-old with cerebral palsy and other special needs who wants to be a DJ, by the way. And we just opened up his Cal Able account with $50.
I love this. It is a great question, and I always am, because we've had people on the show before from Bet Zedek, and I talk very lovingly on the show about when there was a point in our journey where we needed to be paying for a service that was happening at the school, and then the school would reimburse us once we would present receipts. Only the school would take 60 days to do it. And we were having to pay the provider every month, and we got behind, I mean, it was like, It was like we had, I can't even believe that we had this at the time, but we had $5,000 that in a savings account that we could, keep putting back in. But there was a certain point when the bill was up to $15,000.
Cash flow,
right? And we were just strangled by it. And I sat and cried and said, I don't know what we will do. And the Jewish Free Loan Association lent us the money so that we could do it and get to the end of the school year and get all the money back. And, and everybody says to me, oh, well, are you Jewish? And I happen to not be, but especially in Los Angeles, but I've seen this across the world, the Jewish community gets it right in dealing with special needs. Everybody else could take notes on it and the world would be a better place. Why is that? Why is the Jewish community so far ahead on this?
Oh, that's so sweet. Really, I don't want to get too emotional here, but it's really part of our tradition. Our Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, very much tell us over and over again, you have to take care of the poor and the vulnerable in the community. You have to take care of the widows, who typically ended up being poor. You have to take care of the stranger in your midst. And that phrase is repeated over and over again. And it's a huge part of our tradition and our culture. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm proud that we're open, like I said, to everybody.
Well, I think it's remarkable. For people who are not in the Los Angeles area, do you have to be in the Los Angeles area to participate?
No, we actually prefer people to be in like a 2-hour radius of our office because we want to be able to see them in person. Mm-hmm. We can enroll people anywhere in the state of California, but viewers should know there are other pooled special needs trusts in the state of California, and there's a nice directory on a website called Special Needs Alliance, which I believe is .org, Special Needs Alliance.
And would that cover also pooled special needs trusts in other states?
Yes, so there's at least one pooled special needs trust in every state. Now, there's a few very large national ones, and they're going to do a good job in terms of the financial services piece. They're not necessarily going to do the kind of care coordination that I'm talking about. Yeah. But there are many sister nonprofits around the country. Most of them have the word plan in them, PLAN. And I'll tell you a funny story. When I first started, I was very nervous about becoming the executive director, and I went to a national conference. And I looked around the room, and everybody else was pretty much in my age range. And then we got into a discussion, and it was mostly, I'd say, 90% women. And over half of the women had a child with special needs. And then we got into a discussion, as women like to do, about where we like to buy clothes. And we were all buying clothes from Loft and Chico and the same places. So there's a lot of people just like me out there all over the country doing similar work.
Isn't that amazing? It's so like interests go together. I was saying yesterday on the show that, when special needs moms get together, we all have something in common, but then we find our niche. We find our niche of the thing that we want to do, and then we find the people that we are most like-minded with, and that's a feeling of coming home. So you found your tribe.
Right, exactly.
I'm happy for you. What a wonderful thing. And I would assume that you have a special needs trust for your son.
Well, I have to confess, I'm like the cobbler's son who has no shoes. I haven't done the actual paperwork.
But you did the ABLE account, so you're getting it.
I did the ABLE account, but I actually want to open up the special needs trust, the inactive special needs trust.
Well,
so it's on my list of things to do for 2019.
Well, I think both of those things need to be on my list. Now, are there requirements to qualify for being part of a special needs trust? Because how do you determine if the person is special needs enough?
Right. So we don't make that determination. It's all based on the federal definition of disability. So people coming into our special needs trust either need to be currently receiving SSI or Medi-Cal,
okay,
which is California's Medicaid program, or they need to be eligible for it and have not yet applied for it.
Okay.
So we totally use the federal definition, and so it's kind of out of our hands in terms of, the determination of severity of the impact.
Okay. And Same thing with the ABLE account?
Yeah, exactly. With ABLE account, you either already have to be receiving SSI or Medicaid, or you need a rather extensive doctor's note indicating that you would be eligible. And just so viewers understand, the SSI definition for who is disabled, it has to do with if you can engage in what they call sustained gainful activity. In other words, are you able to make a living, and so you won't need the government benefits? And that's where the doctor's note becomes very important. So a doctor has to say something like, due to the severity of this person's autism or intellectual disability, they won't be able to work more than 4 hours at a time, or they're not able to take direction, or they have too much anxiety to leave the house every day, to work in a job.
Well, and I got to be honest that my son's not going to, he's not going to qualify. But this brings me to a question, and you may not know the answer, but I throw this out to you. So let's say that a parent, and the ABLE thing is very new, a parent whose child is on the autism spectrum and, very affected by it, qualifies for services, they're getting regional center, they're 5 years old, they're getting a full ABA program, but by the time they're 12, 13, so they've started the ABLE account, but by the time they're 13, 14, it's clear that the child is no longer going to need support services. What happens then?
Well, the good thing about the Child ABLE account is that you can use it for education.
Okay.
So you would just kind of end up using it like a 529 college savings account.
Love it. Fabulous.
The big question is, though, even at age 5, would a doctor say in writing, this person looks like, he or she's going to be able to work at some point or not work?
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is all fascinating. Again, it's the Jewish Los Angeles.
JLA Trust.
Yes, JLA Trust. And Traven, can we put the website? You had the website up a minute ago. Can we put the website back up? And you guys can check out the website. There it is, jlatrust.org.
Yay!
Yay! And you can check that out and see if it's something that interests you. Now, what was the place that you said they could go again if they're not in the state of California, that they can see all of the...
Just Google the word Special Needs Alliance.
Okay.
And then Pool Trust, Pooled.
Fascinating. Absolutely. Well, I feel so educated today, Michelle. This has been fabulous. And the date is the February 4th for your event again?
Yes, February 4th, Los Angeles, zip code 90048.
Okay, and go to Eventbrite.
We reserved a very big room.
Okay.
So we've got lots of space.
Go to Eventbrite and sign up for that if you're in the Los Angeles area. I think I'm going to try to get to that. I got to look at my calendar. But Michelle, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate the time and the kind words.